Hello everyone, this is Heroes Trivia, and today we're continuing our Siege of Hefei Let's Talk Lore series with part 3, titled Zhang Liao. Now last time we discussed Sun Quan's second siege of Hefei in the year 215, where he boasted a 100,000 strong army, only to be foiled by Zhang Liao and his 800 vanguard, in a battle that would go down in history, as Zhang Liao's very name would become the boogeyman used by mothers in the south to frighten their crying babies into silence. And much like those babies, Sun Quan would also go silent, as the third siege of Hefei would not occur for another 15 years. Yet the interim period was not at all peaceful, as Cao Cao would visit Hefei personally just a month after the second siege had ended in the year 216, to inspect the troops and tour the very battlefield where Zhang Liao had crushed Sun Quan's morale. Astounded by Zhang Liao's bravery and valor, Cao Cao would award him with more troops to garrison at Chaohu, just to the south of Hefei, as Cao Cao was now preparing for his own offensive against Sun Quan. And in early 217, Cao Cao would strike out from Chaohu to attack Sun Quan's military port at Ruxukou. And after fierce fighting for 2 months, Sun Quan was forced to retreat and pull his defensive line farther south to the Yangtze River. But despite this victory, Cao Cao would push no farther, as he did not have the confidence in his navy to push to the Yangtze River. And with Liu Bei making waves out west, Cao Cao soon agreed to Sun Quan's plea for peace. Then in early 219, Sun Quan would show signs of preparing to mount attack on Hefei, which in turn triggered Cao Cao into sending additional garrisons from the Jin province to reinforce the Yang province, as he was at the time away in Hanzhong, busy battling Liu Bei. Yet it is precisely this troop redeployment that would end up triggering Guan Yu's attack on the Jin province, which ultimately created the opportunity for Sun Quan to backstab and kill Guan Yu, which we already covered in great detail in a previous lore series. And this would herald in a time of relative peace around Hefei, as even Zhang Liao was allowed to leave his post here, first to reinforce Cao Ren at Xiangyang, before meeting Cao Cao for one final time at Mopi, where Cao Cao would ride out in his carriage to personally express his gratitude to Zhang Liao for his services at Hefei and for the speed of his reinforcement to Xiangyang, despite being stationed so far away. And after Guan Yu's defeat, Zhang Liao would be reassigned to a cozier post in the Chen Commandery, instead of returning to the front lines at Hefei. Then after Cao Cao's passing, and Cao Pi's ascension as the Duke of Wei, Zhang Liao would be promoted to the General of the Front, and receive a second Marquis title alongside his older brother Zhang Xun, who was a minor official within the Wei court, who got this second Marquis title entirely because he was Zhang Liao's older brother. And aside from these titles, monetary rewards in silk and crops were also given to Zhang Liao. However, by late 220, it became clear that Sun Quan's vassalage was insincere, so in order to bolster Hefei's defenses once again, Cao Pi would reassign Zhang Liao back to the front lines at Hefei, and out of respect to Zhang Liao's service in this front, Cao Pi would also elevate Zhang Liao's second Marquis title by 1 tier, bestow a special imperial carriage to Zhang Liao's elderly mother, and ordered officials all along the way to Hefei to organize parades for Zhang Liao and his family as they passed through on their way back. Then after Cao Pi's usurpation of the Han and coronation in 221, Zhang Liao would finally get to meet Cao Pi again in person at the new capital in Luoyang, as the two of them have not seen each other since Cao Pi accompanied Cao Cao in a southern campaign in the year 212. Once reunited, Cao Pi would ask Zhang Liao to share all the details about the day when he led the charge against Sun Quan's army with just 800 men. And after hearing this story from the man himself, Cao Pi would go on to elevate every surviving member of the 800 to the position of Tiger Guards, or essentially Imperial Palace Guards. Zhang Liao, of course, would get rewarded once again, as Cao Pi would promote him from second Marquis to Marquis, as over 2,600 household worth of tax income were now granted to him through this title. and by comparison, Cao Pi would only give his brother, Cao Zhi, 2,500 households worth of tax income for his princedom. And in addition to these titles, Cao Pi would also start the construction of 2 estates for Zhang Liao's clan, as one would be awarded to Zhang Liao himself, while the other was given to his elderly mother. But Zhang Liao's stay in Hefei would be a short one, as in 222, when Sun Quan once again became a vassal to Wei when Liu Bei launched his Yiling campaign, Zhang Liao was once again redeployed, this time to Yongqiu, where Zhang Liao, now 53 years old, would fall ill. Worried for his health, Cao Pi would send advisor Liu Ye, along with his own imperial physicians, to Yongqiu to tend to Zhang Liao's illness. However, even with the care from imperial physicians, Zhang Liao would struggle to make a full recovery, which prompted Cao Pi to move Zhang Liao out of the army camps and into an imperial estate nearby, where Cao Pi would personally travel to meet him, as Zhang Liao would end up receiving the same level of care in terms of clothing and food as Emperor Cao Pi himself. Then after finally showing some signs of recovery, Zhang Liao would rush back to the army camps as he did not want to overstep. But before Zhang Liao would make a full recovery, Sun Quan would once again betray Wei, as after successfully repelling Liu Bei at Yiling, an exploratory attack against Wei would be launched in Guangling. So once again, heading south to defend the Wei borders, Zhang Liao would travel by boat this time to Guangling, where he would join under General Cao Xiu's forces, and successfully repel a naval attack by Lu Fan, alongside General Wang Ling. However, not long after this battle, Zhang Liao's lingering illness would resurface, as his condition would worsen. And not long after that, Zhang Liao would pass away in Jiangdu at the age of 53. Now Zhang Liao would go on to receive the posthumous title of Gang Hou, which gives him the one character title of Gang, which means firm and righteous. His son, Zhang Hu, would assume his marquis title and live out the rest of his days as a minor general in the Wei court. Zhang Liao's grandson, Zhang Tong, is rumored to have settled as a regional warlord in the northeast in the Lelang and Daifang commanderies during the Western Jin period, and later joined the Xianbei Murong clan as their influence grew in the area. Although there is a strong possibility that this historical reference is just a case of 2 people with the exact same name. Regardless, Zhang Liao's significance in the Hefei region cannot be understated, as he was the ultimate Wei solution to Sun Quan, and his presence alone gives Sun Quan doubts, which is why despite his old age and poor health, Zhang Liao was repeatedly sent south to answer Sun Quan's every move, as after the second siege of Hefei in 215, Sun Quan would not launch another full-scale siege of Hefei while Zhang Liao was still alive. And to commemorate Zhang Liao's contributions, in the year 243, Emperor Cao Fang would set up an altar to Zhang Liao's name, along with numerous other important early period Wei generals inside Cao Cao's shrine, as a means to honor them every time an ancestral ceremony would be held for Cao Cao himself. Now, with Zhang Liao's passing in 222, the task of defending Hefei will now fall to a new officer, as Man Chong will emerge as Sun Quan's new nightmare when we return to our next episode, as we'll be covering the construction of the new Hefei city and the third siege of 230. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this episode enough to hit that like button to help support the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!